There's a wrestler who knows more about The Rock's business empire than anyone except Dwayne himself. He sits in on every major meeting, approves every big decision, and has made millions of dollars from their partnership. But 15 years ago, this same man was plotting to end The Rock's career. What changed everything wasn't a conversation or an apology, it was a secret that one of them had been hiding for years, a secret that would shock the wrestling world. August 14, 1999. The backstage area at a WWE event in Chicago was buzzing with the usual pre-show energy, but there was an undercurrent of tension that everyone could feel. In one corner, Dwayne Johnson was going through his pre-match routine, visualizing his performance and preparing mentally for another night as The Rock. In the opposite corner, Marcus Steele was doing the same thing, but with a very different motivation. Marcus wasn't just preparing to wrestle, he was preparing to destroy the man he considered his greatest professional enemy. The animosity between The Rock and Marcus Steele was legendary in wrestling circles, but most fans assumed it was just part of the show. They were wrong. Behind the cameras, away from the storylines and scripted feuds, these two men genuinely despised each other with an intensity that made their colleagues uncomfortable. The hatred had started 3 years earlier, when both men were still finding their places in the WWE hierarchy. Marcus, whose real name was Michael Sterling, had been wrestling for 5 years and considered himself next in line for main event status. He was technically superior to most wrestlers, had natural charisma, and came from a wrestling family that had been in the business for decades. Then Dwayne Johnson arrived. Within months, this third-generation wrestler with the perfect look and undeniable charisma was fast-tracked to opportunities that Marcus felt he deserved. While Marcus was still working mid-card matches and struggling for television time, The Rock was main-eventing pay-per-views and becoming the face of the company. But the personal animosity went deeper than professional jealousy. The breaking point had come 18 months earlier, when both men were interested in the same woman, Jennifer Hayes, a backstage interviewer who was smart, beautiful, and completely unimpressed by the usual wrestler bravado. Marcus had been quietly pursuing her for months, building a genuine connection based on shared interests and long conversations about life beyond wrestling. Then The Rock arrived at the same restaurant where Marcus and Jennifer were having dinner, seemingly by coincidence. Within an hour, Jennifer was laughing at Dwayne's stories and completely captivated by his charm. By the end of the evening, Marcus was eating alone while The Rock and Jennifer shared dessert at another table. The relationship between The Rock and Jennifer lasted 6 months before ending amicably, but the damage to Marcus's relationship with Dwayne was permanent. Marcus felt that The Rock had deliberately sabotaged something meaningful, using his star power and charisma to steal something that wasn't rightfully his. From that moment on, Marcus made it his mission to undermine The Rock's career in every way possible. The campaign was subtle but relentless. Marcus would spread rumors about The Rock's attitude backstage, suggesting to other wrestlers that Dwayne was arrogant and didn't respect the wrestling business. He would lobby management to give himself the opportunities that were being offered to The Rock, arguing that he was more dedicated and deserving. Most damaging of all, Marcus began sabotaging The Rock's matches in small but noticeable ways. As an experienced wrestler, he knew how to make his opponent look bad without being obvious about it, throwing punches slightly off target, timing moves poorly, and generally making The Rock's performances less impressive than they should have been. But Marcus's biggest mistake was underestimating The Rock's intelligence and awareness. Dwayne noticed the pattern immediately. Matches with Marcus always felt off, crowd reactions were subdued, and his performances suffered in ways that didn't happen with other opponents. More concerning, he started hearing whispers from other wrestlers about supposed comments he'd never made and attitudes he'd never displayed. The situation came to a head on that August night in Chicago. Marcus had convinced several other wrestlers to confront management about The Rock's unprofessional behavior, armed with a list of fabricated complaints and exaggerated incidents. The plan was to present a united front that would force WWE to reconsider their investment in The Rock's career. But Marcus had made a crucial error in judgment. He had underestimated the loyalty and integrity of his fellow wrestlers. Instead of participating in the ambush, veteran wrestler Jake Harrison went directly to The Rock and explained what Marcus was planning. "Rock," Jake said, pulling Dwayne aside before the show, "you need to know what's happening. Marcus has been working behind the scenes to sabotage you for months. Tonight, he's planning to present management with a bunch of lies about your attitude and professionalism." Dwayne felt a mixture of anger and disappointment, but also a strange sense of relief. Finally, he understood why his relationship with the locker room had felt strained and why certain matches hadn't gone as well as they should have. "What do you think I should do?" Dwayne asked. Jake, who had been in the wrestling business for 20 years and had seen every kind of backstage politics, gave Dwayne advice that would prove prophetic. Don't fight him on his level. Don't get into a political battle or try to sabotage him back. Just be better than he is, and eventually the truth will come out. That night, The Rock had one of the best matches of his career, working with another opponent while Marcus watched from backstage, realizing that his plan had been exposed and his campaign of undermining had failed. But the real turning point in their relationship came 2 years later, in circumstances that neither man could have predicted. October 3, 2001. Marcus Steele was driving home from a WWE event in Detroit when his car was hit by a drunk driver. The accident was severe, multiple fractures, internal injuries, and a traumatic brain injury that left him in a coma for 6 days. When Marcus finally regained consciousness, he found an unexpected visitor sitting beside his hospital bed. The Rock was there, not as part of any publicity stunt or company requirement, but because he had heard about the accident and felt compelled to check on his former rival. "Why are you here?" Marcus asked, his voice weak from the injuries and medication. "Because," Dwayne replied, "whatever problems we've had, you're still a part of our wrestling family. And family takes care of each other." Over the next 3 hours, as Marcus drifted in and out of consciousness, Dwayne sat quietly by his bedside. He didn't try to have deep conversations or force any kind of reconciliation. He was just present, offering the kind of support that Marcus had never expected from his greatest enemy. But it was what happened next that truly changed their relationship. As Dwayne was preparing to leave, Marcus asked him a question that had been weighing on his mind since the accident. "Rock, can I tell you something? Something I've never told anyone?" Dwayne sat back down, sensing that this moment was important. "The reason I hated you so much," Marcus continued, his words coming slowly due to his injuries, "wasn't really about Jennifer or the opportunities or any of that surface stuff. It was because you made me realize that I wasn't as good as I thought I was." Marcus paused, gathering his thoughts and his courage. "I grew up believing that wrestling success was about technical ability, family connections, and paying your dues. Then you came along and proved that sometimes it's just about having something special that can't be taught or earned. You had that thing and I didn't. Instead of accepting that and trying to learn from you, I tried to tear you down." Dwayne was quiet for a moment, processing this confession and understanding for the first time the real source of their conflict. "Marcus," he said finally, "you're wrong about one thing. You do have something special. Your problem wasn't lack of talent, it was wasting your energy on hating me instead of developing yourself." That conversation became the foundation of an unlikely friendship that would eventually transform both of their careers. Marcus's injuries forced him to retire from active wrestling, but his analytical mind and deep understanding of the business made him valuable in other ways. As he recovered, he began working as a consultant for WWE, helping to develop storylines and evaluate talent. Meanwhile, The Rock was beginning his transition from wrestling to Hollywood, and he found himself needing advice from someone who understood both the entertainment business and his personal journey. The first time Dwayne called Marcus for advice was in 2003, when he was deciding whether to take a role in a low-budget action movie that could either launch his film career or typecast him as just another muscle-bound wrestler trying to act. "What do you think?" Dwayne asked during a phone call that lasted 2 hours. Marcus's response was brutally honest. "The script is terrible, the director has no vision, and the role will make you look like everything Hollywood expects from a wrestler. But if you can find a way to elevate the material and bring your natural charisma to the character, it might work." More importantly, Marcus offered something that Dwayne hadn't expected: strategic thinking about long-term career development. "Rock, you're thinking about this one movie, but you should be thinking about the next 10. What kind of actor do you want to be? What kind of roles do you want to be offered? How do you want to be perceived by casting directors and audiences?" This conversation revealed something that would become the cornerstone of their partnership. Marcus had a gift for strategic thinking and long-term planning that complemented Dwayne's natural charisma and work ethic. Over the next few years, their professional relationship deepened. Marcus became an unofficial advisor on Dwayne's Hollywood career, helping him evaluate scripts, negotiate contracts, and navigate the complex politics of the film industry. But the real transformation of their relationship came in 2008, when Dwayne made Marcus an offer that surprised everyone who knew their history. "I want you to become my business partner," Dwayne said during a meeting in his Los Angeles office. "Not just an advisor or consultant, but a real partner with equity in everything we build together." Marcus was skeptical. "Dwayne, why would you want to go into business with someone who spent years trying to sabotage your career?" "Because," Dwayne replied, Those years taught me that you're one of the smartest people in this industry. You understood my weaknesses better than anyone, which means you also understand how to address them. Plus, you've proven that you can put aside personal feelings and focus on what's best for business. The partnership that emerged from this conversation became one of the most successful in entertainment history. Marcus became the strategic brain behind The Rock's business empire, helping to structure deals, evaluate opportunities, and build the infrastructure that would support Dwayne's transition from actor to global brand. When Seven Bucks Productions was founded, Marcus was the operational mastermind who turned Dwayne's creative vision into a functioning business entity. When The Rock launched his tequila brand, Marcus handled the complex negotiations with distributors and retailers. When Dwayne started making unprecedented salary demands for his movie roles, Marcus developed the strategic framework that justified those numbers. But perhaps most importantly, Marcus became the person who could tell The Rock no when everyone else was saying yes. One of the most valuable things Marcus brings to our partnership, Dwayne explained in a rare interview about their relationship, is that he's not impressed by me. He judges every idea, every opportunity, every decision based on its merits, not on my star power or charisma. Today, Marcus Sterling owns a significant stake in virtually every business venture associated with The Rock's empire. He's made tens of millions of dollars from their partnership, but more importantly, he's found a purpose and fulfillment that his wrestling career never provided. The man who once plotted to destroy The Rock's career is now one of the most influential people in Dwayne's life. He attends family gatherings, serves as godfather to Dwayne's youngest daughter, and is considered by everyone in The Rock's inner circle to be family. When asked about their relationship during a business conference in 2019, Marcus offered this reflection. I spent 3 years hating Dwayne for being better than me, and I've spent the last 15 years learning from him. The difference in my life satisfaction between those two periods tells you everything you need to know about the power of choosing collaboration over competition. The transformation from enemies to partners didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't the result of a single conversation or gesture. It was built through years of small interactions, mutual respect, and the gradual recognition that their different strengths could create something more powerful than either of them could achieve alone. Their story has become legendary in wrestling circles, often cited as an example of how professional rivalries can evolve into productive partnerships when ego is set aside in favor of mutual benefit. But for Dwayne and Marcus, the real value of their relationship isn't the business success or the financial rewards. It's the knowledge that they transformed hatred into respect, competition into collaboration, and rivalry into family. Sometimes the person who challenges you the most becomes the person who helps you grow the most. And sometimes your greatest enemy becomes your greatest ally, not despite your conflict but because of it. Disclaimer: this story is created for entertainment purposes only and is not based on real events. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental. The content is fictional and intended for humor and storytelling purposes.